Hey, movie nerds! Today, we're stepping into Annabelle Comes Home, a 2019 horror film that explores the terrifying consequences of curiosity and the shadows lurking within the familiar. An unsettling story that asks us to look deeper, to question, and to feel beyond the surface. I'm glad you're here, because together we'll unravel the hidden layers, the subtle details, and the little moments that whisper the heart of the film. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. Let's keep exploring these stories that shape how we see the world. Now, settle in, open your mind, and let's dive into the depths of this cinematic journey. From the opening sequence, the film plants us firmly in a world where the boundary between the ordinary and the supernatural blurs in the most chilling ways. It picks up right after the terrifying events of its predecessor, centering on the infamous haunted doll, trapped and contained by a couple of real-life paranormal investigators, the Warrens. Their home, a sanctuary of sorts, becomes the stage for a new chapter of terror as the dark entity tied to the doll threatens to break free once again. This isn't just a story about a cursed object, it's a meditation on the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human comprehension, and how evil, once invited, refuses to be ignored. The film's atmosphere is drenched in classic haunted house aesthetics, shadowed hallways, creaking floorboards, and flickering lights that keep viewers on edge. But beyond these familiar tropes, the narrative dives deeper into the psychology of fear, exploiting not just jump scares but a pervasive sense of vulnerability. The Warrens, played by seasoned actors, embody the uneasy line between skepticism and belief, serving as the guardians against a darkness that is as ancient as it is malevolent. Their home, cluttered with relics of their investigations, is a character itself, every object carrying a story, every room filled with whispers of past horrors. The plot swiftly introduces the Warrens' teenage daughter and her babysitter, two young women whose curiosity becomes the catalyst for unleashing the doll's malevolence. As they grapple with the increasingly strange occurrences, the film explores themes of innocence corrupted and the recklessness of youthful defiance. The dynamic between these characters adds emotional stakes beyond the supernatural, rooting the horror in personal relationships and trust. This makes the ensuing terror feel immediate and intimate, as the very walls of the home begin to close in on them. What makes the story truly gripping is how it intertwines the physical and metaphysical. The containment of the doll in a locked glass case, surrounded by protective sigils and prayers, is a powerful symbol of humanity's attempt to impose order on chaos, to cage the inexplicable. Yet, the film shows that such barriers are fragile, easily breached by doubt, fear, or desperation. Each unlocking of that case, each moment of curiosity, opens a door to the unknown, reminding us that some secrets are better left buried. As the supernatural forces escalate, the film doesn't merely rely on spectacle. Instead, it carefully builds suspense through subtle cues, a shadow flitting across a hallway, an object moving on its own, a sudden, chilling silence. The cinematography plays with light and darkness, framing shots that suggest something lurking just beyond perception. The sound design heightens this effect, with faint whispers, creaking noises, and unsettling musical motifs that unsettle as much as any scream. The horror culminates in a series of escalating confrontations that test the character's courage and resourcefulness. The doll's curse extends beyond its glass prison, affecting not just the Warrens' home but reaching into the outside world, threatening the lives of those caught in its orbit. The film's climax is a tense blend of psychological and physical horror, with moments that surprise and subvert expectations. Here, we see the full horror of the entity's cunning and cruelty, as well as the strength found in human connection and faith. A major twist reveals layers beneath the surface of the doll's malevolence, suggesting that it is not merely a vessel of evil but an active, sentient force with its own agenda. This revelation reframes much of the film's earlier tension, inviting viewers to reconsider the nature of the threat and the price of confronting it. The final scenes leave a lingering ambiguity, a reminder that the battle between good and evil is neither neat nor final, but ongoing. Beyond its narrative, the film excels at weaving in subtle homages to classic horror and the wider universe from which it springs. Fans will appreciate nods to earlier stories and characters, hints that enrich the mythology and deepen the sense of dread. These layers of intertextuality add to the film's immersive quality, rewarding attentive viewers with a richer experience. Ultimately, this film is a chilling exploration of the consequences of curiosity and the fragility of safety in a world where ancient evils lurk just beneath the surface of everyday life. Its blend of intimate character moments, atmospheric dread, and cleverly paced scares make it a compelling chapter in a larger saga. As the credits roll, the sense of unease remains, a testament to the film's power to haunt not just the screen but the mind long after the lights come up. So, as we prepare to delve deeper into its plot, characters, and cinematic secrets, remember, sometimes the most innocent curiosity can awaken the darkest shadows. Stay with me as we unpack every chilling detail and hidden meaning, unraveling the threads that bind this terrifying tale together. The film opens with a palpable sense of unease, the camera drifting through dimly lit corridors filled with artifacts of the supernatural, a collection curated and contained by Ed and Lorraine Warren, renowned paranormal investigators whose work treads the delicate line between the known and the unknowable. We find ourselves in their home, where the infamous Annabelle doll is carefully locked away inside a glass case, adorned with protective symbols and prayers, a silent sentinel against the darkness it once unleashed. The initial scenes establish this place as a sanctuary, yet the heavy air and shadowed corners hint that evil is never fully contained, and the fragile piece is destined to unravel. From the outset, the film introduces us to the Warrens' teenage daughter, Judy, a character who embodies both innocence and quiet strength. Her world is about to shift dramatically, pulled into a vortex of supernatural chaos that tests her courage beyond anything she could imagine. Judy's babysitter, Mary Ellen, arrives to care for her, bringing with her the everyday worries and youthful defiance that contrast starkly with the ominous undercurrents swirling just beneath the surface. The dynamic between these two young women is tender yet tinged with the tension of impending danger, setting the emotional stakes high. As the evening unfolds, strange occurrences begin with unnerving subtlety. The doll's presence seems to seep beyond the confines of its glass prison, manifesting in flickering lights, unexplained noises, and fleeting shadows that suggest a malevolent intelligence watching, waiting. Mary Ellen's initial skepticism gives way to alarm as the supernatural forces make themselves felt in more direct and terrifying ways. The film carefully layers these moments, building suspense through the gradual erosion of normalcy, where the familiar becomes a battleground for unseen horrors. A pivotal scene finds Mary Ellen inadvertently releasing the doll's curse when she, driven by a mix of curiosity and defiance, opens the protective case. This act shatters the fragile barrier between safety and chaos, unleashing a dark force that has been lurking, patient, and relentless. The film captures this moment with a charged intensity, the camera focusing on the doll's unblinking eyes as the atmosphere shifts palpably. The doll's malevolence begins to infiltrate the house, targeting not just objects but the fears and vulnerabilities of those within. The narrative then branches into a series of escalating supernatural events, each more unsettling than the last. The spirits connected to the doll begin to manifest in haunting ways. Apparitions flicker in mirrors, objects move with violent intent, and the very architecture of the home seems to twist and groan under an invisible weight. The film uses these occurrences to explore the theme of invasion, the idea that evil does not merely lurk but actively breaches the sanctity of the domestic sphere, turning home into a place of dread. The tension between the visible and invisible is a constant thread, keeping the audience perpetually on edge. Judy's experience becomes central to this mounting terror. The film delves into her psychological and emotional responses, portraying a young girl caught between fear and determination. Her encounters with the supernatural are portrayed with a raw intimacy, the camera lingering on her expressions of confusion, bravery, and vulnerability. This focus humanizes the horror, grounding it in a relatable emotional reality that heightens the impact. The relationship between Judy and Mary Ellen deepens, their bond tested as they face an adversary that defies comprehension. The Warrens themselves, though physically distant at points, loom large in the narrative. Their investigations and warnings add a layer of gravitas and urgency. Through their correspondence and eventual intervention, the film connects this chapter to the wider lore, reinforcing the stakes and situating the story within a continuum of supernatural battle. Their presence underscores the film's meditation on faith, protection, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. Amid the supernatural chaos, the film introduces key moments of character development and thematic exploration. Mary Ellen's initial skepticism and youthful bravado gradually give way to a more profound understanding of the forces at play. Her journey is as much about confronting internal doubts and fears as it is about facing external threats. Judy's own resilience emerges as a beacon amid the encroaching darkness, her innocence intertwined with an unexpected strength that becomes pivotal in the unfolding conflict. A sequence involving the haunting of a nearby room encapsulates the film's skillful blend of psychological horror and supernatural spectacle. The room, once a place of warmth, becomes a nexus of terror, its walls echoing with voices and memories that blur the line between past and present. The cinematography here uses tight framing and shifting focus to disorient the viewer, mirroring the characters' confusion and fear. The editing rhythm accelerates, punctuating the scene with sudden, jarring cuts that heighten suspense and dread. The escalation continues as the malevolent presence begins to manipulate the environment in more aggressive ways. Doors slam shut, shadows coalesce into terrifying shapes, and the protective charms placed around the house are challenged, their efficacy tested. The film's sound design shines in these moments. Subtle creaks, whispers, and the eerie silence between sounds create a suffocating atmosphere that draws the audience deeper into the nightmare. The use of silence as a tool of suspense is particularly effective, making each sudden noise or movement all the more startling. An especially harrowing scene features a seance-like ritual intended to communicate with or banish the spirits. The tension is palpable, the actors' performances grounded in genuine fear and urgency. This sequence showcases the film's thematic core, the struggle to assert control in the face of the uncontrollable, to seek order amid chaos. It also serves as a turning point, revealing the true extent of the doll's curse and the stakes for everyone involved throughout these events. The film weaves in subtle foreshadowing and symbolic imagery that deepen the narrative's layers. The doll's cracked porcelain face, its fixed smile, and hollow eyes become icons of lurking menace and lost innocence. The protective symbols drawn around the house speak to the human desire to ward off darkness through faith and ritual, yet also highlight the fragility of such defenses. Mirrors, doorways, and shadows are recurring motifs, suggesting thresholds between worlds and the permeability of reality. The film's pacing carefully balances moments of quiet dread with explosive bursts of terror. It refuses to rely solely on jump scares, instead building a pervasive sense of unease that permeates every scene. This measured approach allows the horror to simmer and intensify, making each encounter with the supernatural feel earned and significant. The emotional stakes remain high, with character development and interpersonal dynamics woven seamlessly into the suspense. As the first half progresses, the tension between skepticism and belief, between innocence and experience, becomes more pronounced. The younger characters grapple with their understanding of what is happening, while the protective instincts of the Warrens' legacy weigh heavily on them. This internal conflict enriches the narrative, making the horror not just about external threats but about confronting the unknown within oneself. By the midpoint, the film has established a rich, textured world where terror is both psychological and supernatural, where every creak and shadow holds potential menace, and where the characters' emotional journeys are as compelling as the haunting itself. The doll's curse is no longer contained, and the home's sanctuary becomes a battleground, a microcosm of the eternal struggle between light and darkness. In summary, the opening arc of the film immerses us in a story where the familiar becomes sinister, and where the smallest acts of curiosity can unleash profound consequences. It deftly balances character-driven drama with atmospheric horror, setting the stage for a confrontation that is as much about inner demons as it is about spectral ones. The seeds of suspense and dread sown here promise an escalation that will challenge the character's courage and will leave the audience breathless, poised on the edge of fear and fascination. As the story progresses beyond its initial crescendo of unease and mystery, the tension tightens like a noose, drawing the characters, and us, into the heart of darkness. The film's second act plunges deeper into the consequences of the unleashed curse, where every flicker of light seems shadowed by something unseen, every whispered silence pregnant with menace. The carefully constructed sanctuary of the Warrens' home begins to unravel as the malevolent forces that escape the doll's cage assert themselves with relentless fury, and the stakes escalate from discomforting to life-threatening. Mary Ellen and Judy, once tentative and uncertain in their understanding of the supernatural storm swirling around them, find themselves thrust into roles that demand courage, quick thinking, and a grasp of the ethereal rules that govern their terrifying new reality. The film's narrative unfolds like a haunted labyrinth itself, twisting corridors of fear and revelation, where each door opened risks unleashing deeper shadows, and each secret uncovered tightens the grip of horror. One of the first pivotal developments in this unfolding chaos is the realization that the malevolent spirit tethered to the doll is no mere ghost but an ancient, cunning force with a will and intelligence of its own. It exploits the vulnerabilities of its victims, manifesting in forms that prey on their deepest fears and weaknesses. This entity's ability to manipulate reality blurs the lines between hallucination and truth, leaving Mary Ellen and Judy questioning their senses, their sanity, and the very fabric of their world. The film excels here in its psychological complexity, where terror is not only external but internal, a creeping dread that gnaws at identity and trust. The haunting intensifies with a series of frightening encounters that showcase the entity's cunning and cruelty. Doors slam with supernatural force, objects fly across rooms, eerie figures appear and vanish, always at the edge of vision. The filmmakers employ a masterful blend of practical effects and digital enhancements to create these moments, grounding the supernatural in tactile reality while preserving an air of mystery. These sequences are interspersed with quieter, unsettling scenes, an unexplained chill in a room, a fleeting shadow crossing the hallway, that keep the audience on edge even between the overt scares. Judy's role becomes increasingly central as the narrative explores themes of innocence in peril and the courage it takes to confront darkness. Her interactions with the entity are charged with emotional depth, capturing a child's mixture of fear, confusion, and determination. These scenes are shot with intimate close-ups and a muted color palette, emphasizing vulnerability amidst chaos. The film refuses to reduce her to a mere victim. Instead, it portrays her growing awareness and agency, a beacon of light in the encroaching gloom. Mary Ellen's journey is equally compelling. Her initial skepticism transformed into desperate resolve. She grapples with the reality of evil incarnate in her seemingly ordinary surroundings. Her relationship with Judy evolves into a protective, almost familial bond, underscoring the human connection that offers resistance against supernatural oppression. The film uses their dynamic to heighten emotional stakes, making the horrors more immediate and poignant. The Warrens themselves re-enter the narrative, their presence a reminder of the battle waged between light and darkness beyond the immediate setting. Their intervention is marked by a ritualistic urgency, a last line of defense wielding faith, knowledge, and ancient rites. The depiction of this ritual is a standout sequence, richly textured with symbolic imagery, solemn chants, and flickering candlelight, that anchors the film's spiritual themes. The intensity builds as the ritual confronts the entity, setting the stage for a climactic confrontation. Parallel to these supernatural battles, the film weaves in moments of character introspection and interpersonal tension. The stress of the haunting exposes fissures and fears among the characters, revealing how trauma fractures relationships even as it forges bonds. The dialogue, often sparse but loaded with subtext, conveys the weight of responsibility and the fragility of hope. These human moments provide necessary counterbalance to the horror, reminding viewers that the true battle is often within. A major plot twist reveals that the doll's curse is connected to a deeper, darker history, an ancient pact or event whose repercussions ripple through time. This revelation reframes earlier events, adding layers of mythic weight and moral complexity. The film uses flashbacks and symbolic imagery to flesh out this backstory, enriching the narrative tapestry and linking personal horror to cosmic forces. This broader context elevates the stakes, positioning the character's struggle within an epic framework of good versus evil. As the climax approaches, the entity's assaults become more violent and personal. The film's pacing quickens, editing sharpened to reflect the urgency and chaos of the moment. The interplay of shadow and light intensifies, the visuals growing more stark and dramatic. The score swells with dissonant chords and haunting melodies, underscoring the emotional and supernatural tempest. The final confrontation is a tour de force of tension and emotion. Mary Ellen and Judy, armed with newfound knowledge and strengthened bonds, face the entity in a battle that tests their resolve and resourcefulness. The sequence is choreographed with cinematic precision, framing, lighting, and sound all converging to create a visceral experience that is both terrifying and cathartic. The entity's true form and intentions are revealed in this confrontation, subverting expectations and deepening the narrative's moral complexity. Resolution arrives not with simple victory but with a nuanced sense of hard-won survival and guarded hope. The home is scarred but safe once more, the characters carry the weight of what they have endured, changed but unbroken. The film closes on an ambiguous note, a reminder that darkness may retreat but never fully disappears, a tension that lingers in the mind and heightens the story's resonance. Throughout this second act, the film masterfully balances spectacle with intimacy, horror with heart. The supernatural terror serves as a catalyst for exploring deeper themes of faith, family, and the courage required to face the unknown. Its layered storytelling, rich symbolism, and compelling performances combine to deliver an experience that is as emotionally affecting as it is frightening. In essence, the film's latter half is a relentless journey into the heart of fear and the resilience of the human spirit. It deepens the mystery, heightens the stakes, and delivers a climax that satisfies while provoking reflection. The story's echoes remain long after the screen fades, inviting viewers to ponder the shadows that dwell not just in haunted houses but within us all. Physicality and movement are also key tools in character portrayal. The actors' performances include subtle gestures, a trembling hand, a hesitant step, a determined stance, that communicate unspoken emotions and shifts in power dynamics. The film's choreography of these movements within its claustrophobic setting enhances the feeling of entrapment and struggle. The interplay of stillness and motion mirrors the ebb and flow of hope and despair that defines the characters' experiences. Costume and makeup contribute to the storytelling, subtly reflecting character states and narrative shifts. Judy's clothing moves from innocence-infused casualness to more practical and determined attire as the film progresses, visually marking her transformation. The doll's iconic appearance, with its cracked porcelain and faded dress, serves as a chilling symbol of corrupted innocence, reinforcing the thematic contrasts embodied by the characters. The film also employs symbolic interactions, touching the doll, crossing thresholds, opening locked doors, that serve as rites of passage or moments of decision for the characters. These actions carry emotional and narrative weight, marking shifts in agency and vulnerability. The characters' responses to these moments reveal their inner strength or fragility, further developing their arcs. Ultimately, the characters' journeys are inseparable from the film's exploration of its central themes. Their struggles with fear, faith, and identity embody the broader human confrontation with the unknown and the unseen. Through their eyes, the film explores how courage is born from vulnerability, how innocence confronts corruption, and how love and trust become the most potent weapons against darkness. In essence, the film's characters are its soul. Their emotional complexity, relational dynamics, and psychological depth elevate the story beyond genre conventions, inviting viewers to engage not only with the scares but with the profound human questions that underpin them. Their journeys, fraught with peril but marked by resilience, resonate long after the final scene, making the film a haunting meditation on the interplay between darkness and light within and around us. The making of this film, nestled firmly within the realm of supernatural horror, is a tale as compelling and eerie as the story it tells. Behind the camera, amid the shadowy corridors and creaking floorboards, an array of fascinating, strange, and sometimes downright unsettling occurrences shape the production, adding layers of mystery and intrigue that often blur the line between fiction and reality. These behind-the-scenes facts reveal not only the dedication and ingenuity of the cast and crew, but also the uncanny atmosphere that seemed to permeate the very air during filming. One of the most intriguing aspects of the production is the deep involvement of real-life paranormal investigators who inspired the film's characters. Ed and Lorraine Warren, whose chilling investigations into the occult and haunted objects serve as the foundation for the story, had an active consultative role. Their extensive archives, photographs, and personal accounts informed everything from set design to narrative structure. The filmmakers were granted access to the Warrens' actual artifact room, a space dense with relics of dark histories and supernatural lore. Recreating this space authentically was a priority, resulting in meticulous attention to detail that lends an unsettling realism to the environment. In fact, the case housing the infamous doll was replicated down to the smallest scratch and dust pattern. The production team consulted with experts in antiques and occult paraphernalia to ensure every protective symbol and talisman painted around the glass was accurate and meaningful, not just decorative. This dedication reflects a respect for the source material and an understanding that authenticity enhances the film's emotional impact. For many crew members, spending time on set was an immersion into a world where history and myth intertwined in palpable ways. The atmosphere on set was charged with an intensity that many cast and crew members described as almost supernatural. Several reported experiencing unexplained phenomena during filming: flickering lights, cold spots, and eerie sounds that could not be easily attributed to environmental factors. One particularly chilling account comes from the lead actress, who shared in interviews how the doll seemed to watch her between takes, its glassy eyes following her movements in a way that unsettled her deeply. These experiences added a layer of psychological complexity to the performances, as actors grappled with genuine unease while embodying characters terrified by the unknown. Strikingly, multiple accidents and technical mishaps occurred throughout production, often centered around the scenes involving the doll or its containment case. Equipment would malfunction in inexplicable ways, cables snapping or cameras shutting down without cause, especially during night shoots. Crew members began to joke that the doll itself was sabotaging the set, a superstition that grew stronger after a particularly harrowing day when a key piece of lighting equipment inexplicably caught fire, fortunately without causing injury. While some attributed these events to typical on-set glitches, others felt an eerie resonance with the film's themes, deepening the sense of mystery. The filmmakers took these reports seriously enough to involve spiritual consultants and religious figures to bless the set and the doll replica, hoping to ease tensions and ensure the safety of everyone involved. These rituals, performed with solemnity and respect, underscored the production's unique blend of art and belief, where the boundaries between storytelling and real-world spirituality often blurred. For many on set, these moments were as profound as the scripted scenes, reminding them of the cultural and emotional weight carried by the story. One of the most unusual production choices was the decision to film certain key sequences in actual locations reputed to be haunted or charged with paranormal activity. These locations, remote and shrouded in folklore, brought authenticity to the atmosphere but also introduced unpredictability. Cast and crew recounted strange sounds during night shoots, unexplained footsteps, and objects moving inexplicably. These incidents were sometimes captured faintly on camera or audio, adding an unintentional layer of authenticity to the film's eerie mood. The director embraced these moments, seeing them as gifts that enriched the film's texture and emotional resonance. In the world of this film, the characters emerge as much more than vessels for supernatural terror. They are the beating heart of a story that weaves psychological complexity, emotional nuance, and the timeless struggle between light and darkness. Each character embodies a unique facet of the narrative's themes: innocence and experience, skepticism and belief, vulnerability and courage. To truly appreciate the film's depth, it is essential to explore these characters not just as players in a horror tale, but as richly drawn individuals whose journeys resonate on a profoundly human level. At the center stands Judy, the Warrens' teenage daughter, whose presence grounds the narrative's emotional core. Judy's characterization defies simple archetypes. She is neither a passive victim nor a stereotypical final girl. Instead, she is portrayed with a compelling blend of innocence and burgeoning strength. Her youth makes her particularly vulnerable to the supernatural forces unleashed, yet it also allows for moments of surprising resilience and insight. Throughout the film, Judy's arc traces a journey from sheltered naivety toward a painful, hard-earned maturity. Her encounters with the malevolent entity challenge her perceptions of reality and safety, forcing her to confront fears both external and internal. Judy's emotional complexity is conveyed through subtle performances, nuanced facial expressions, restrained body language, and moments of silent contemplation that speak volumes. The filmmakers employ close-up shots to capture her internal struggle, inviting viewers into her private world of doubt, courage, and longing for protection. Her relationship with Mary Ellen, her babysitter, further enriches her characterization. The dynamic between them evolves from casual acquaintance to deep trust and mutual dependence, reflecting the film's themes of connection as a bulwark against darkness. Mary Ellen is another richly layered character, embodying the tension between skepticism and belief that runs throughout the film. Initially, she approaches the Warrens' world with a mixture of curiosity and doubt, a reflection of the audience's own likely response. Her skepticism is not dismissive, but grounded in a desire to understand the extraordinary with reason. This rationality is challenged repeatedly as she experiences the supernatural firsthand, her worldview shaken by events that defy explanation. Her journey is marked by a growing acceptance of the unknown and a willingness to confront fear head-on. Mary Ellen's character arc is compelling because it is relatable. Her reactions and doubts mirror those of many viewers encountering horror for the first time. Her development from outsider to participant in the battle against evil adds emotional weight and narrative tension. The film uses her perspective to explore themes of faith in the unseen, in the protective power of ritual, and in human resilience. The supporting characters, while not as centrally featured, contribute significantly to the film's emotional texture and thematic depth. The Warrens themselves, though somewhat peripheral in screen time, represent authority, experience, and the moral compass within the story. Their presence brings a sense of gravitas and historical continuity, connecting the current events to a larger, ongoing struggle against supernatural forces. Their interactions, though limited, convey wisdom tempered by weariness, underscoring the high stakes and the cost of this invisible war. One of the film's strengths is its refusal to flatten characters into simple categories of good and evil. Even the antagonist, the malevolent spirit connected to the doll, is portrayed with layers of complexity. Rather than a mindless force of destruction, this entity demonstrates cunning, malice, and a twisted form of intent that elevates it beyond a mere haunting. Its manipulations and psychological torment suggest a deep understanding of human weaknesses, making it a more formidable and terrifying presence. This nuance invites viewers to consider the nature of evil not as a monolith, but as a multifaceted, often insidious force. The relationships between characters are a vital component of the narrative, illustrating how connection, trust, and empathy become shields against darkness. Judy and Mary Ellen's evolving bond is a microcosm of this theme. Their reliance on each other in moments of terror highlights the power of human solidarity. The film depicts their partnership with care and subtlety, avoiding clichés to present a believable and moving portrayal of friendship forged in adversity. Parental figures, though less visible, loom large in the emotional landscape. The Warrens' protective instincts, combined with their burdensome knowledge, add layers of tension and empathy. Their role as guardians of not only their daughter but also of humanity's fragile boundary against malevolent forces emphasizes themes of responsibility and sacrifice. The film touches on the isolation that comes with such knowledge, portraying the Warrens as figures caught between worlds, bearing burdens unseen by most. The character development extends to the emotional and psychological impacts of trauma and fear. The film does not shy away from depicting how the haunting affects each individual differently. Some are paralyzed by fear, others driven to desperate action, some struggle with doubt, others cling to faith. These varied responses enrich the narrative, making the horror feel lived in and authentic. It is this emotional realism that elevates the film, transforming it from a sequence of scares into a profound exploration of human resilience. Notably, the film's female characters are afforded agency and complexity uncommon in many horror narratives. Judy and Mary Ellen are not merely victims but active agents in their fight for survival. Their courage, intelligence, and emotional depth are central to the story's progression and ultimate resolution. This emphasis on strong, multidimensional female characters reflects broader cultural shifts and adds a layer of contemporary relevance. The dialogue, while often sparse in moments of terror, is carefully crafted to reveal character traits and relationships. Conversations between Judy and Mary Ellen expose vulnerabilities, hopes, and fears, making their terror feel personal and immediate. The Warrens' limited but poignant exchanges convey the weight of their mission and the sacrifices it entails. Even minor characters are given moments that hint at their histories and motivations, enriching the film's tapestry. An especially curious anecdote involves the original Annabelle doll, which remains housed in the Warrens' artifact room in a glass case. During production, the film's prop was crafted to mirror the original's appearance with uncanny fidelity. On multiple occasions, crew members noted that the prop doll appeared to have shifted positions slightly between takes, despite being secured in place. These subtle movements fueled a mixture of superstition and humor on set, but also contributed to a pervasive sense of unease that permeated the atmosphere. Another fascinating behind-the-scenes fact is the use of sound design to evoke fear without relying heavily on traditional jump scares. The sound team collected field recordings from locations with rich acoustic environments: forests, old houses, and abandoned buildings. These natural sounds were manipulated to create a haunting auditory landscape that becomes almost a character in itself. Whispering winds, distant echoes, and subtle creaks form a sonic tapestry that unsettles the audience on a subconscious level. This approach reflects a broader trend in horror filmmaking toward atmospheric immersion rather than overt shock tactics, and it was widely praised by critics and viewers alike. The film's score, composed with an intricate blend of orchestral and electronic elements, also has its own story of strangeness. The composer used rare instruments and unusual techniques to create sounds that mimic the otherworldly qualities of the supernatural presence. Among these was a custom-made glass harmonica, whose ethereal tones add a spectral quality to key scenes. The recording sessions were reportedly eerie, with musicians experiencing unexplained sensations and moments of goosebumps. The composer embraced these experiences, channeling them into the music's haunting beauty. Interestingly, the filmmakers incorporated several nods and homages to classic horror films and previous installments in the franchise. Some of these are visible only to the most attentive viewers: a shadowy figure in the background, a recurring motif, or a whispered phrase. These Easter eggs serve both as a tribute to the genre and as connective tissue within the larger cinematic universe. The inclusion of these subtle details created a playful challenge for fans and added layers of meaning and engagement. Casting brought its own share of unusual stories. The lead actress, as part of her preparation, spent time studying the Warrens' real-life case files and watching footage of alleged paranormal events. She also participated in private sessions with psychic consultants, which left her deeply affected. These experiences enriched her portrayal with authenticity and emotional depth but also took a toll, as she described nights filled with unsettling dreams and a lingering sense of being watched. Her commitment to the role was evident in the emotional vulnerability she brought to the screen. The production also faced logistical challenges that, while mundane on the surface, contributed to a sense of unpredictability and tension. The tight shooting schedule, the complexity of night scenes, and the technical demands of special effects required meticulous coordination. Yet, several last-minute changes to the script were made in response to on-set discoveries. Moments when the environment or actors' spontaneous choices inspired new directions. These adaptations often resulted in more effective storytelling, demonstrating the fluid, living nature of filmmaking. Among the lesser-known trivia is the film's extensive use of practical effects, a choice that distinguished it from many contemporary horror films relying heavily on CGI. The decision to use tangible props, makeup effects, and physical stunts was driven by a desire to ground the supernatural in tactile reality, enhancing immersion and believability. The makeup team crafted intricate prosthetics to depict the various spirits and manifestations, working long hours to perfect their terrifying realism. These effects won praise for their craftsmanship and their contribution to the film's unsettling atmosphere. One of the strangest on-set stories involves a scene where a séance circle is disrupted by an unplanned power outage. While initially seen as an unfortunate technical glitch, many on set found the timing uncanny, as if the supernatural presence was intervening directly. The director chose to keep the footage, which added an unanticipated layer of authenticity to the scene's tension and unpredictability. The cast and crew's personal experiences during production also weave into the film's legacy. Several reported that the emotional intensity of the material led to real bonds formed in the face of shared fear and vulnerability. Long hours in eerie locations fostered camaraderie and mutual support. Yet, some also recounted lingering unease after shooting wrapped, with nightmares or a heightened sensitivity to shadows and sounds. These testimonials contribute to the mythos surrounding the film, blurring lines between art and lived experience. The film's premiere and subsequent reception continued the thread of fascination. Early viewers often spoke of an almost palpable atmosphere of dread in the theater, as if the on-screen terror had seeped into the real world. This phenomenon fueled rumors and urban legends among fans, further elevating the film's cultural footprint. The marketing team cleverly embraced this aura, weaving tales of the doll's curse and production oddities into promotional materials, heightening audience anticipation and engagement. In summary, the making of the film is a story rich with uncanny events, passionate craftsmanship, and a deep respect for the eerie material at its core. From the authentic recreation of haunted spaces to the unsettling experiences shared by cast and crew, from innovative sound design to spontaneous on-set moments that defied explanation, every facet of production contributed to an atmosphere that transcends the screen. These strangest facts not only enrich our appreciation of the film's artistry but also invite us to ponder the mysterious forces that blur the boundaries between reality and the supernatural. A fitting echo of the very story the film dares to tell. The film unfolds as a tapestry woven with threads of fear, faith, and the fragile boundary between the seen and unseen, inviting viewers not just to witness a haunted tale but to participate in a profound exploration of belief and human vulnerability. At its core, this story is about more than a cursed doll or a haunted house. It is a meditation on the nature of evil, the power of faith, and the psychological turmoil that arises when the supernatural intrudes upon everyday life. To grasp its full impact, it is essential to examine the significant events through a critical lens, understanding how they resonate thematically and emotionally, and how they shape the film's reception. From the opening moments, the film situates itself within a tradition of supernatural horror that relies heavily on atmosphere and tension rather than mere spectacle. The careful pacing of early scenes builds a sense of unease that is both intellectual and visceral. The locking away of the doll within a glass case adorned with protective symbols serves as a powerful metaphor for humanity's attempt to contain the inexplicable, a theme that permeates the narrative. Critically, this event sets the tone for the entire film, framing the struggle as one between order and chaos, belief and doubt. The introduction of Judy and Mary Ellen marks a significant shift from the Warrens' established world of expertise to a more intimate, personal perspective. This narrative choice has been praised for grounding the supernatural in relatable human experiences, allowing audiences to connect emotionally with the unfolding terror. The characters' interactions and development invite analysis of themes such as innocence confronted by evil, and the journey from skepticism to faith. Their evolving relationship functions as a microcosm of the film's broader exploration of trust and resilience in the face of darkness. One of the film's most critically discussed events is the moment Mary Ellen inadvertently releases the doll's curse by opening the protective case. This act is rich with symbolic weight, representing the dangerous allure of forbidden knowledge and the consequences of breaking sacred boundaries. Critics have noted how this event catalyzes the narrative, transforming the home from a sanctuary into a battleground. The tension between curiosity and caution embodied in this moment echoes classical horror tropes while also speaking to contemporary anxieties about the unknown and uncontrollable. As the supernatural occurrences escalate, shadowy figures, moving objects, and increasingly aggressive hauntings, the film's approach to depicting evil becomes a focal point for critical interpretation. The entity's manifestations are not merely frightening but deeply psychological, preying on individual fears and vulnerabilities. This complexity distinguishes the film from more straightforward ghost stories, inviting audiences to consider the interplay between external evil and internal turmoil. The haunting's personalization of terror reflects broader themes of trauma and the human psyche's fragility. A particularly significant scene is the seance-like ritual aimed at confronting and banishing the entity. This event has been analyzed as a moment where faith and ritual intersect with human agency. The solemnity and symbolism of the ritual underscore the film's engagement with spiritual traditions and the human desire for control in the face of chaos. Critics have highlighted the ritual as a narrative and thematic turning point, embodying the film's message that belief, whether religious or personal, can be a source of strength against darkness. The film's climax, involving the direct confrontation with the entity, serves as a culmination of its thematic and emotional threads. The battle is not just physical but existential, testing the character's courage, faith, and resilience. This showdown has been praised for its balance of suspense, emotional intensity, and narrative payoff. The revelation of the entity's true nature adds layers of moral ambiguity, challenging simplistic notions of good versus evil. Critics have noted that this complexity elevates the film, offering a meditation on the nature of malevolence and the human response to it. Throughout the film, the use of setting and atmosphere contributes profoundly to its impact. The Warrens' home, filled with relics of past investigations and shadowed histories, becomes a character in its own right. Its claustrophobic corridors and dimly lit rooms create a sense of entrapment that mirrors the character's psychological states. Critical analyses often focus on how the film uses this setting to evoke a pervasive feeling of dread and to reflect the inescapable presence of past trauma. The film's sound design and musical score have been widely lauded for their role in shaping the viewer's experience. The subtle layering of ambient noises, whispered voices, and unsettling silences creates a sonic environment that heightens tension and emotional engagement. The composer's blending of traditional instruments with eerie electronic textures has been interpreted as a sonic representation of the collision between the natural and supernatural worlds. This auditory landscape supports the narrative's themes and amplifies its emotional resonance. From a cultural perspective, the film engages with broader discourses on faith, skepticism, and the supernatural. The Warrens' roles as religious investigators introduce questions about the place of spirituality in modern life and the ways in which belief can both protect and endanger. The film's portrayal of ritual and prayer reflects a nuanced understanding of faith's power and limitations. Critics have explored how the film navigates these themes without didacticism, allowing for a multiplicity of interpretations and emotional responses. Audience reception has mirrored the film's thematic richness and emotional complexity. Many viewers have expressed appreciation for its blend of classic horror elements with psychological depth, praising the performances that bring humanity to the supernatural narrative. The film's careful balance of scares and character development has resonated with fans seeking more than jump scares, offering an experience that is both thrilling and thought-provoking. Some critiques have centered on the film's adherence to genre conventions, noting moments where predictability may undercut suspense. However, even these critiques often acknowledge the skill with which the film revitalizes familiar tropes through nuanced characterization and atmospheric storytelling. The ongoing engagement of audiences and critics alike speaks to the film's success in sparking conversation and reflection. The film's intertextual connections to the larger cinematic universe from which it arises add another layer of interest. References to prior events and characters enrich the viewing experience for fans, creating a sense of continuity and expanding the narrative scope. This interconnectedness has been analyzed as a strategy that deepens audience investment and situates the film within a broader cultural phenomenon. In academic and fan discussions, the film has become a site for exploring themes of trauma, memory, and the negotiation of fear. Its depiction of evil as both external and internal invites interpretations grounded in psychology and cultural studies. The characters' journeys through doubt, terror, and faith resonate with universal human experiences, making the horror both personal and profound. In sum, the significant events of the film, viewed through a critical lens, reveal a narrative that is as much about the human condition as about supernatural terror. Its careful construction of atmosphere, character, and theme creates a work that engages emotionally and intellectually. The film's impact lies in its ability to evoke deep fear while also offering hope and reflection, affirming cinema's power to explore the darkest corners of experience with empathy and insight. The layered storytelling, thematic depth, and emotional resonance ensure that this film endures beyond its initial scares, inviting repeated viewing and ongoing dialogue. It stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of well-crafted horror that challenges as much as it frightens, connecting audiences to stories that echo both ancient fears and contemporary anxieties. The journey of bringing this film to life is a rich tapestry woven with creativity, perseverance, and an ever-present sense of wonder, and sometimes unease, that seems to echo the story itself. From the earliest stages of conception through the grueling process of filming and post-production, the making of this movie was marked by a dedication to authenticity and atmosphere, a willingness to innovate within the horror genre, and a string of fascinating. The journey of bringing this film to life is a rich tapestry woven with creativity, perseverance, and an ever-present sense of wonder, and sometimes unease, that seems to echo the story itself. From the earliest stages of conception through the grueling process of filming and post-production, the making of this movie was marked by a dedication to authenticity and atmosphere, a willingness to innovate within the horror genre, and a string of fascinating, sometimes chilling anecdotes that reveal the human spirit behind the supernatural narrative. Pre-production began with a meticulous process of research and design. The filmmakers were deeply invested in grounding the story in real-world paranormal investigations, drawing extensively from the archives of the Warrens, the legendary husband and wife team of ghost hunters whose experiences inspire the film's central premise. Access to the Warrens' extensive collection of artifacts, journals, and recordings informed every detail, from the visual design of the cursed doll's containment case to the atmospheric look of the Warrens' home. Production designers and art directors worked tirelessly to recreate the artifact room with painstaking accuracy, consulting experts to ensure that the occult symbols, talismans, and relics were not only visually compelling but authentically meaningful. Casting was another crucial and intriguing element. The search for the lead role demanded an actress capable of conveying vulnerability and strength in equal measure, a balance essential to the film's emotional core. The eventual choice brought a nuanced performance that blends innocence with resilience, capturing the psychological depth the story required. The supporting cast, too, was selected not only for talent but for their chemistry and ability to embody the emotional dynamics necessary to ground the supernatural terror in human relationships. During rehearsals, the director encouraged improvisation and deep character exploration, fostering a collaborative environment that enriched performances and allowed the cast to inhabit their roles fully. Filming took place over several months, primarily on meticulously constructed sets designed to evoke the claustrophobic, eerie atmosphere of the Warrens' home. The production team embraced practical effects as a cornerstone of the film's visual language, aiming to create tangible, physical manifestations of the supernatural rather than relying heavily on CGI. This approach posed significant challenges, demanding intricate coordination between the special effects crew, actors, and cinematographers. For instance, scenes involving the doll's movements require the use of animatronics and puppetry, with puppeteers working off-camera to achieve subtle, unsettling gestures that breathed life into the porcelain figure. One of the most remarkable behind-the-scenes stories involves the sound design, a crucial element in crafting the film's pervasive sense of dread. The sound team gathered recordings from a variety of locations to capture authentic ambient noises, the creak of old wood, the rustle of wind through trees, distant animal calls, blending these with layered, electronically manipulated effects to produce a haunting, immersive soundscape. The composer incorporated these natural sounds into the musical score, resulting in a sonic texture that feels organic yet otherworldly. The team's innovative use of sound contributes significantly to the film's ability to unsettle viewers, turning every whisper and creak into a potential harbinger of terror. On set, the atmosphere was often thick with tension and anticipation. Several cast and crew members have recounted stories of strange, unexplained phenomena occurring during filming. Lights flickering inexplicably, equipment malfunctioning at pivotal moments, and eerie sensations reported by those working late into the night created an almost tangible connection between the production and its supernatural subject matter. While these occurrences were approached with professional skepticism, many admitted that the atmosphere added a layer of authenticity to their work, heightening their performances and commitment. The director's approach to filming was heavily influenced by a desire to capture psychological horror through atmosphere and performance rather than relying solely on jump scares. This philosophy manifested in carefully planned camera movements and lighting choices designed to evoke mood and suggest unseen threats. The cinematographer employed natural lighting techniques and practical sources, such as candles and lanterns, to maintain a sense of realism and intimacy. These choices demanded precision and patience, especially during night shoots when the balance between visibility and shadow was delicate. The result is a visual style that feels both grounded and unsettling, inviting the audience to lean into the darkness rather than shy away from it. Editing played a pivotal role in shaping the film's rhythm and tension. The editor worked closely with the director to weave together scenes that alternated between slow-building suspense and sudden bursts of terror. The pacing was calibrated to allow moments of quiet reflection and character development to breathe, making the ensuing scares more impactful by contrast. Transitions were often marked by subtle audio cues or visual motifs, a flicker of movement in the background, a shift in light, creating a cohesive sensory experience that sustains unease throughout the narrative. The makeup and prosthetics teams crafted some of the film's most memorable visual horrors with great skill and dedication. Designing the apparitions and manifestations required not only technical expertise but an understanding of how to evoke emotional responses through appearance. The aged, cracked visage of the doll, the ethereal forms of spirits, and the subtle decay in haunted objects were all realized through painstaking work that balanced realism with the uncanny. These effects were often enhanced by strategic lighting and camera angles, underscoring the importance of collaboration across departments. Safety was a paramount concern, especially given the physically demanding nature of several scenes. Stunt coordinators choreographed sequences involving sudden movements, falls, and near collisions with precision, ensuring that actors could perform with confidence even in tense and confined spaces. The cast underwent training to handle the doll and interact with mechanical effects smoothly, contributing to the seamless integration of human and supernatural elements on screen. One particularly challenging scene involved a lengthy sequence where the doll appears to move autonomously, manipulating objects and influencing the environment. Achieving this effect required a combination of puppetry, wires, and post-production enhancement. The coordination was so complex that multiple rehearsals were necessary, with cast and crew working in near-perfect sync to maintain the scene's tension and believability. The success of this scene is a testament to the film's commitment to practical effects and collaborative filmmaking. Marketing for the film was innovative, tapping into the mythos surrounding the real Annabelle doll and the Warrens' investigations. Trailers and promotional materials emphasized the film's blend of psychological and supernatural horror, aiming to attract both fans of the franchise and new viewers intrigued by its eerie premise. The campaign cleverly used social media to share real stories and artifacts, blurring the lines between fiction and reality and heightening anticipation. Premiere events were designed to immerse attendees in the film's atmosphere, with venues decorated to evoke the Warrens' artifact room and interactive exhibits that engaged fans with the story's lore. Cast and crew appearances at festivals and conventions further energized the fanbase, with behind-the-scenes stories and insights adding depth to the viewing experience. Throughout production, the filmmakers maintained a strong collaborative spirit, fostering a creative environment where ideas flowed freely and innovation was encouraged. This openness allowed for spontaneous moments of brilliance, improvised lines, unexpected camera angles, and last-minute adjustments that enhanced the narrative's emotional and thematic resonance. In sum, the making of this film is a compelling story in itself, a blend of artistic vision, technical innovation, and human perseverance set against a backdrop of eerie coincidence and real-world supernatural lore. From the authentic recreation of haunted spaces and meticulous attention to detail, through the innovative use of sound and practical effects, to the camaraderie and dedication of the cast and crew, every element contributed to a work that resonates with authenticity and chilling beauty. These production insights and fun facts not only deepen our appreciation of the film's craftsmanship, but also invite us to reflect on the mysterious, sometimes inexplicable forces that animate both art and life. The film setting is not merely a backdrop against which the story unfolds, it is an essential character that breathes life into the narrative, infusing every frame with an atmosphere thick with tension, history, and latent menace. The Warrens' home, with its labyrinthine corridors and walls lined with relics of past supernatural battles, becomes a crucible of fear and fascination, a place where the physical and metaphysical collide. Through an immersive exploration of this space and the cinematic choices that illuminate it, the film crafts a world that is at once intimately familiar and unsettlingly alien. The production designers approached the creation of the Warrens' home with an obsessive attention to detail, drawing inspiration from the actual residents of the real-life paranormal investigators. The artifact room, a key location, is a curated collection of objects imbued with stories of darkness and survival. Each piece, ancient dolls, religious icons, relics of occult significance, is placed with purpose, creating a dense visual tapestry that hints at the history and breadth of the supernatural world. Walking through this room on screen is like stepping into a museum of the uncanny, where every shadow hides a whisper and every object carries a secret. The house itself is designed to evoke a sense of timelessness. Its architecture blends traditional and eclectic elements. Worn wooden floors creak beneath footsteps, stained glass windows cast fragmented light across faded wallpaper, and narrow hallways twist unexpectedly. This blending of styles creates a disorienting effect, where the familiar domestic space becomes a maze laden with invisible threats. The production team constructed elaborate sets that allowed for complex camera movements, enhancing the feeling that the house is both a sanctuary and a prison. Outdoor locations, though less frequent, play a vital role in expanding the film's world beyond the claustrophobic interior. Scenes set in the surrounding woods and garden areas add a layer of natural unease, where isolation and darkness converge. The dense trees and underbrush serve as a metaphor for the unknown, a wild and untamed extension of the supernatural forces at play within the house. These natural settings contrast with the constructed spaces, grounding the narrative in a world where evil is not confined to human dwellings but seeps into the environment itself. Lighting is a crucial element in shaping the film's mood and tone. The cinematographer employed a palette dominated by shadows and muted hues, with warm candlelight and cold moonlight punctuating the darkness. This interplay between light and dark mirrors the thematic tension between safety and threat, faith and doubt. The use of chiaroscuro, strong contrasts between light and shadow, heightens the sense of mystery and danger lurking just beyond perception. Scenes bathed in flickering, uneven light convey instability and vulnerability, while moments of stark illumination expose the characters' fears and resolve. The film's color grading leans toward desaturated tones, evoking a vintage aesthetic that connects to the Warrens' long history and the timelessness of the evil they confront. Subtle color shifts signal emotional and narrative changes, the encroachment of supernatural forces often accompanied by a chilling blue or green tint that seeps into the frame, while moments of human connection and hope are warmer and softer. These visual cues guide the audience's emotional journey, reinforcing the story's undercurrents without overt exposition. Camera work is another vital component in establishing the film's immersive atmosphere. The cinematographer favored steady, deliberate shots interspersed with handheld sequences during moments of heightened tension. This oscillation between controlled and chaotic movement reflects the character's fluctuating grasp on reality. Long takes draw the viewer into the haunted spaces, allowing suspense to build organically as the frame holds on lingering shadows or subtle movements. Conversely, the handheld camera work injects immediacy and disorientation, placing the audience in the character's vulnerable perspective during supernatural assaults. Framing and composition are meticulously crafted to enhance the narrative's psychological impact. The use of deep focus allows multiple layers of action to unfold within a single shot, often revealing something unsettling lurking in the background or periphery. The filmmakers frequently employ negative space, vast, dark areas within the frame, that suggest the presence of unseen forces, evoking a sense of isolation and exposure. Characters are often positioned off-center, emphasizing their vulnerability and the instability of their environment. Mirrors, windows, and reflective surfaces are recurring motifs in the cinematography, serving as portals between worlds and amplifiers of fear. Reflections often reveal entities or distortions not visible directly, creating a chilling visual metaphor for hidden truths and the permeable boundary between the physical and supernatural realms. These elements are integrated seamlessly into the narrative, enriching the story's symbolic resonance and heightening visual interest. Sound design intricately complements the visual elements, though its exploration extends beyond this section's focus. Still, the relationship between sound and space, how the house's creaks, whispers, and silences interact with the frame, cannot be understated in crafting atmosphere. The film uses spatial audio techniques to make viewers feel enveloped by the haunted environment, amplifying tension and anticipation. The interplay between setting and character is carefully calibrated. The physical environment reflects and influences the character's psychological states. As the haunting intensifies, the house's corridors seem to close in, shadows grow deeper, and familiar spaces become treacherous. This symbiosis underscores themes of entrapment and the erosion of safety, making the setting an active participant in the story's emotional arc. The use of color, light, and space also aids in distinguishing between the real and the supernatural. Scenes grounded in human connection and faith are bathed in softer, warmer light, often with naturalistic color tones that evoke comfort and hope. In contrast, supernatural encounters introduce colder hues, sharper contrasts, and disorienting compositions that unsettle and isolate. This visual dichotomy reinforces the narrative's tension between good and evil, known and unknown. Special attention was given to the doll itself as a visual centerpiece. The filmmakers crafted its appearance to balance familiarity with eerie otherness. Its cracked porcelain face, faded dress, and unnerving smile are lit and framed to draw the viewer's gaze, making it an ever-present threat even in stillness. Close-up shots emphasize its inhuman gaze, creating a sense of being watched and judged, while wider shots integrate it into the haunted environment, suggesting its pervasive influence. The film also employs subtle visual motifs that echo throughout the story, recurring patterns of broken glass, fluttering curtains, and shifting shadows that symbolize fractured realities and the intrusion of chaos into order. These motifs create a cohesive visual language that rewards attentive viewers and enriches thematic depth. Throughout the narrative, the house's layout becomes a maze of danger and discovery. The filmmakers design sets that allow characters to move through spaces that feel familiar yet unpredictable, emphasizing the theme of uncertainty. Hidden passages, locked rooms, and shifting perspectives make the environment itself a puzzle and a trap, reinforcing the psychological horror. In key sequences, the use of practical effects and in-camera tricks enhances the tangible quality of the supernatural. For example, objects moving without visible cause are achieved through a combination of puppetry, wires, and clever editing, allowing interactions with the environment to feel immediate and believable. This commitment to physicality strengthens immersion and believability. Night scenes are particularly evocative, with moonlight filtering through windows and casting long shadows that dance across walls. These moments leverage natural contrasts and textures, deepening the film's eerie mood. The decision to shoot many scenes during the actual night rather than relying on artificial lighting contributes to a sense of authenticity and unpredictability. Interior spaces are often cramped and cluttered, filled with relics that visually communicate the weight of history and unseen forces. This density contrasts with moments of wide-open space outdoors, where the darkness of nature presents a different kind of threat. The film uses this interplay to explore the boundaries of safety and exposure, both physical and psychological. The visual design extends to costume and makeup, which subtly reflect the characters' psychological journeys and the story's emotional tone. The protagonist's clothing transitions from casual normalcy to more practical, resilient styles as their ordeal intensifies. Makeup effects highlight stress, fear, and fatigue, grounding the supernatural horror in human reality. Color symbolism plays a nuanced role. Reds hint at danger and passion, blues evoke coldness and isolation, and muted earth tones connect characters to their environment. These color choices underscore emotional states and narrative shifts without overwhelming the story. The film's careful layering of visual elements, lighting, framing, color, texture, creates an immersive experience that engages viewers on multiple sensory and emotional levels. The setting is more than a stage, it is a living, breathing entity that shapes and reflects the unfolding drama. In essence, the film's setting and cinematic elements coalesce into a masterful evocation of haunting. The Warrens' home and its surroundings become a crucible where fear, faith, and human vulnerability collide. Through meticulous design, evocative cinematography, and thoughtful visual storytelling, the film crafts a world that is richly textured, deeply atmospheric, and profoundly affecting. This immersive environment not only enhances the narrative but also invites viewers into a space where the boundary between reality and the supernatural is perilously thin, an invitation both thrilling and terrifying. The making of this film was a journey filled with unexpected twists, intense collaboration, and moments that blurred the line between reality and the supernatural narrative they sought to portray. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere was charged not just with the technical challenges typical of any major production, but with a palpable sense of mystery and camaraderie that seeped into every frame of the final film. From the earliest days of preparation to the last hours of shooting, the cast and crew navigated an environment where fear and fun coexisted, and where the boundaries between their roles and real emotions often intertwined in surprising ways. One of the earliest stories from the set highlights the unique challenge of bringing the haunted artifact room to life. The art department faced the daunting task of recreating a space densely packed with relics and curiosities, each with its own dark history. To achieve authenticity, the team consulted real-life paranormal investigators and historians, who shared insights into the symbolism and significance of various objects. This research not only informed the set design but also imbued the cast and crew with a sense of reverence and awe. During filming, several crew members reported an uncanny feeling that the room itself seemed to possess an energy beyond its physical components, a sentiment echoed by actors who described the space as almost alive with history and hidden menace. Interaction among the cast was characterized by a mixture of professional respect and playful bonding, essential for navigating the emotionally taxing scenes the story demanded. The lead actress, portraying the young protagonist, often spoke of how the presence of her co-star, the babysitter, helped her ground intense moments in genuine emotion. Their rehearsals frequently included improvisational exercises that allowed them to explore their characters' relationship organically, fostering a dynamic on screen that felt authentic and nuanced. Off-camera, these actresses formed a close friendship, often sharing anecdotes and jokes that lightened the tension created by the film's dark subject matter. The director played a pivotal role in cultivating this atmosphere of trust and creativity. Known for his collaborative style, he encouraged the actors to voice their ideas and interpretations of the scenes, resulting in moments of spontaneous brilliance that found their way into the final cut. This openness extended to the technical teams as well, where sound designers, cinematographers, and special effects artists were invited to experiment and propose innovative solutions to capture the film's eerie mood. For example, a key scene involving the doll's subtle movements was enhanced by an unexpected suggestion from a puppeteer who improvised a delicate twitch that became a chilling hallmark of the character. One of the more surprising on-set stories involves an unplanned power outage during a nighttime shoot, which plunged the set into complete darkness at a moment charged with supernatural tension. Rather than halt production, the cast and crew embraced the incident, using their flashlights and portable lamps to continue filming. The director later reflected that the scene's atmosphere benefited immensely from the raw, unplanned lighting conditions, adding a layer of authenticity and unpredictability that no artificial setup could replicate. This adaptability became a hallmark of the production, with the team often turning challenges into creative opportunities. Special effects sequences presented a series of demanding yet rewarding hurdles. The commitment to practical effects required precise coordination and patience, especially in scenes where the doll appeared to move autonomously. The special effects team engineered complex puppetry rigs and animatronics, operating them with intricate timing to synchronize with the actors' performances. These technical feats often required numerous takes, testing the endurance of everyone involved. Nevertheless, the palpable excitement and sense of accomplishment following successful shots fostered a strong sense of camaraderie and pride. Makeup and prosthetics artists shared stories of long hours perfecting the ghostly apparitions and spectral effects that define much of the film's visual horror. Their work was painstaking, involving layers of paint, latex, and delicate detailing to create figures that felt both terrifying and tragically human. The makeup team recounted moments when the intensity of their craft was interrupted by unexpected laughter or genuine fright, actors reacting to their own transformed appearances or the eerie ambience of the set. These moments of levity helped balance the film's darker themes and built a supportive environment. The interplay between the cast and crew was especially evident during the film's most intense scenes. Psychological support was provided to help actors manage the emotional toll of portraying terror and vulnerability. The director arranged for mental health professionals to be available, recognizing the psychological demands of sustained immersion in fear. This thoughtful approach was appreciated by the actors, who credited it with enabling them to deliver powerful performances while maintaining their well-being. Location shoots added another layer of complexity and unexpected adventure. Some scenes were filmed in historical buildings reputed to be haunted, a choice that enhanced the film's authenticity but also introduced practical challenges. Cast and crew reported strange noises and sensations during night shoots, which, while sometimes unnerving, contributed to the immersive experience. Safety protocols were meticulously followed to navigate these locations, with coordinators ensuring that the physical environment did not impede the demanding production schedule. One of the most memorable on-set anecdotes involves an incident where the doll's prop unexpectedly moved during a take, prompting a spontaneous reaction from the actors that was kept in the final edit. Whether the movement was a mechanical glitch or a serendipitous moment, it added a raw edge to the scene and became a favorite among the cast. This incident encapsulates the film's atmosphere on set, a blend of meticulous control and spontaneous, sometimes inexplicable occurrences. The director's use of lighting played a crucial role in shaping the film's mood, and the lighting crew shared stories of long nights experimenting with shadows and color to achieve the perfect balance. One technique involved using practical light sources like candles and lamps to create natural flickering effects, demanding patience and creativity. The cinematographer described the challenges of capturing the delicate interplay between light and darkness, emphasizing that the goal was to evoke unease through suggestion rather than explicit visuals. Editing was another stage where collaboration flourished. The editor worked closely with the director to refine the pacing and rhythm, balancing moments of quiet tension with sudden, jarring scares. The editor worked closely with the director to refine the pacing and rhythm, balancing moments of quiet tension with sudden, jarring scares. Early cuts of the film were screened for select audiences, whose feedback led to adjustments that sharpened the narrative flow and heightened emotional engagement. These screenings also revealed the power of sound and silence, prompting the team to refine audio elements to maximize suspense. Music composition was approached with an innovative spirit. The composer incorporated unconventional instruments and sounds to evoke the supernatural ambience, working in tandem with the sound design team to weave a haunting auditory fabric. Recording sessions were reportedly immersive experiences, with musicians sometimes feeling the emotional weight of the scenes influencing their performance. The score's subtle interplay with the visuals enhances the film's immersive quality, reinforcing mood and thematic resonance. The camaraderie among the cast and crew was punctuated by moments of levity that eased the tension inherent in filming a horror movie. Practical jokes, shared meals, and informal gatherings fostered a sense of community that sustained morale through the demanding schedule. The lead actors often shared stories of supporting one another through emotionally draining scenes, highlighting the human connections that underpin their work. Post-production presented its own challenges, particularly in integrating practical effects with digital enhancements to create seamless supernatural phenomena. The visual effects team worked meticulously to maintain the tactile quality of practical elements while enhancing them with subtle CGI. This hybrid approach required close collaboration with the cinematography and special effects departments to preserve continuity and believability. Marketing the film also reflected the production's unique character. Promotional campaigns leveraged behind-the-scenes stories and the mystique surrounding the real-life doll, engaging audiences with interactive content and immersive experiences. Social media channels shared anecdotes from the set, fostering a community eager to delve deeper into the film's world. In sum, the making of this film was marked by a blend of professional rigor, creative innovation, and a shared sense of adventure among those who brought the story to life. The interplay of fun and fear, the embrace of unexpected challenges, and the deep bonds formed among cast and crew imbue the production with a richness that resonates on screen. These behind-the-scenes insights reveal the heart of the filmmaking process, a collaborative journey navigating darkness and light to create a story that captivates and haunts, both within the cinema and beyond. The film is not merely a sequence of chilling scenes and suspenseful moments, it is a profound exploration of themes that ripple beneath its surface, inviting reflection on the human condition, the nature of evil, and the fragile boundaries that separate safety from danger, the known from the unknowable. At its core, the narrative weaves a rich tapestry of symbolism and thematic resonance that enhances its impact, transforming it from a straightforward horror story into a meditation on fear, faith, and resilience. One of the film's central themes is the struggle between light and darkness, both literal and metaphorical. The constant interplay of shadow and illumination throughout the story reflects this eternal conflict. Light represents safety, knowledge, and faith, while darkness embodies fear, ignorance, and evil. This dichotomy is evident in the film's visual language, where warm, golden hues accompany moments of hope and connection, and cold, blue-tinged shadows descend during scenes of terror and uncertainty. The protective symbols adorning the doll's case and the Warrens' home act as bastions of light, fragile but potent against the encroaching darkness. Closely tied to this is the theme of faith, its power, fragility, and complexity. The Warrens' characters embody a spiritual resilience rooted in belief, prayer, and ritual, which stands in stark contrast to the malevolent forces they face. The film does not present faith as simplistic or unassailable. Rather, it acknowledges the doubts, fears, and struggles that accompany belief. This nuanced portrayal invites viewers to consider how faith functions as both a shield and a source of inner strength in confronting the unknown. The ritual scenes, imbued with solemnity and symbolism, underscore faith's role as a tool for reclaiming agency in a world threatened by chaos. In juxtaposition to faith is the theme of doubt and skepticism, embodied most vividly in Mary Ellen's character arc. Her journey from disbelief to acceptance mirrors the audience's potential path, reflecting the tension between rationality and the supernatural. This dynamic challenges viewers to confront their own assumptions about reality and the limits of understanding. The film's exploration of skepticism deepens its emotional complexity, revealing that fear often arises not just from external threats but from internal uncertainty and the unsettling experience of having one's worldview shaken. Another prominent theme is the loss of innocence and the coming of age under extraordinary circumstances. Judy's character embodies this motif, her journey symbolizing the painful transition from childhood naivety to a deeper, often darker awareness of the world's complexities. The doll, with its cracked porcelain face and haunting smile, serves as a potent symbol of corrupted innocence, something once pure now tainted by evil. Judy's encounters with the supernatural force her to confront fears that are both personal and universal, marking a rite of passage that intertwines vulnerability with emerging strength. The film also delves into the theme of confinement versus freedom. The Warrens' home, though a sanctuary, becomes a prison where unseen forces manipulate the space, turning familiar rooms into arenas of terror. The doll's glass case is itself a symbol of containment, both protection and imprisonment. This motif extends to the characters' psychological states as they grapple with feelings of entrapment, helplessness, and the desire to break free from the forces controlling their lives. The tension between containment and escape underscores the story's exploration of control: who holds it, who loses it, and what it means to reclaim it. Fear, as both a theme and emotional experience, is dissected with particular care. The film examines fear's many facets: its origins in the unknown, its ability to isolate and paralyze, and its paradoxical role as a catalyst for courage. The malevolent spirit's exploitation of individual fears personalizes the horror, making it not just a supernatural threat but a psychological ordeal. This personalization deepens the emotional resonance, as viewers witness characters confronting not just ghosts but their own inner demons. Symbolism is woven intricately throughout the film, enriching its narrative and thematic layers. The doll itself stands as the primary symbol, a physical embodiment of evil's persistence and the vulnerability of innocence. Its cracked face and fixed smile are haunting visual metaphors for the distortion of purity and the hidden darkness lurking beneath surface appearances. The doll's unblinking gaze acts as a silent witness and a constant reminder of the lurking threat, its stillness paradoxically more terrifying than overt movement. The protective symbols painted on the doll's case and around the house carry significant symbolic weight. These markings draw from religious and occult traditions, representing humanity's attempt to impose order and safety through ritual and faith. Their presence speaks to the power of belief systems to create boundaries against chaos, but their fragility also hints at the precariousness of that protection. The repeated imagery of crosses, circles, and inscriptions underscores the theme of spiritual warfare, framing the story as a battle not just of physical forces but of metaphysical principles. Mirrors and reflective surfaces emerge as potent symbols throughout the film, functioning as thresholds between worlds and revealing hidden truths. Reflections often show distortions, apparitions, or moments not visible directly, suggesting that reality is layered and permeable. This motif invites contemplation on perception and the limits of understanding, reinforcing the theme that evil often hides in the unseen and unacknowledged. The interplay of light and shadow, beyond its thematic role, operates symbolically as well. Flickering candlelight, the interplay of dawn and dusk, and sudden plunges into darkness create a rhythm that mirrors the characters' emotional journeys. These visual elements symbolize hope's fragility, the ever-present possibility of darkness reclaiming ground, and the ongoing struggle inherent in human existence. Doors and thresholds appear repeatedly as symbols of transition and choice. Opening or closing a door often marks a moment of decision, a crossing from safety into danger, ignorance into knowledge, or innocence into experience. These liminal spaces underscore the narrative's focus on boundaries, between the mundane and the supernatural, the known and the unknown, the living and the dead. The film's setting itself becomes a symbolic landscape. The home, filled with relics of past battles against evil, represents the accumulation of human effort to resist darkness. Yet, its corridors and rooms also symbolize the labyrinthine nature of fear and trauma, where hidden memories and threats reside. The tension between home as sanctuary and prison reflects broader human experiences of safety and vulnerability. Character interactions also carry symbolic meaning. The evolving relationship between Judy and Mary Ellen symbolizes trust as a defense against fear, and the power of human connection in overcoming isolation and terror. Their bond reflects themes of chosen family, protection, and resilience. The Warrens' roles transcend mere investigators. They symbolize the guardianship of faith and knowledge, standing as bulwarks against the encroachment of chaos. Their presence invokes themes of duty, sacrifice, and the intergenerational transmission of wisdom in the face of enduring evil. Beyond the immediate narrative, the film engages with cultural anxieties about the unseen forces that shape our lives, be they spiritual, psychological, or societal. The supernatural elements can be read as metaphors for repressed fears, collective traumas, and the human tendency to seek meaning in darkness. This layered symbolism invites diverse interpretations and deepens the film's resonance. In sum, the themes and symbolism woven throughout the film create a rich, multidimensional experience. By exploring light and darkness, faith and doubt, innocence and corruption, confinement and freedom, the narrative transcends its genre to offer a meditation on fundamental human struggles. The symbolic imagery, the doll, protective markings, mirrors, thresholds, enhances this exploration, providing visual anchors that enrich the story's emotional and intellectual impact. The film's power lies in its ability to marry these thematic depths with compelling characters and a gripping narrative, inviting viewers to confront not just the terrors on screen but the shadows within themselves. Through its thoughtful symbolism and resonant themes, the film endures as a haunting reflection on fear, faith, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of darkness. The making of this film is a masterclass in how deliberate filmmaking techniques can elevate a story from mere spectacle to a fully immersive experience that lingers in the psyche long after the credits roll. Behind the shadows and scares lies a meticulously crafted visual and auditory landscape, shaped by the collaboration of artists dedicated to using every cinematic tool at their disposal to evoke mood, tension, and emotional depth. This narrative is as much about the technical artistry as it is about the supernatural forces at play, with sound design, editing, and camera work converging to immerse viewers in a world where fear feels tangible and ever-present. The journey begins with the film's visual design, where cinematography plays a pivotal role in defining its unsettling atmosphere. The director of photography employed a palette that favors low-key lighting and carefully composed shots, using shadows as both concealment and suggestion. The use of chiaroscuro lighting, sharp contrasts between light and dark, creates a visual tension that mirrors the narrative's thematic conflict. The interplay of illumination and obscurity in each frame not only builds suspense but also invites viewers to question what is visible and what lurks just beyond perception. This technique transforms every room and corridor into a potential trap, heightening the sense of vulnerability. Camera movement further deepens the immersive quality. The film balances steady, deliberate tracking shots with sudden handheld sequences that inject immediacy and unpredictability. In moments of calm, the camera often lingers with slow, contemplative pans, allowing the viewer to absorb the details of the haunted environment. Conversely, during scenes of terror, quick, jittery handheld shots simulate the characters' panic and disorientation, making the audience feel as though they are caught in the chaos alongside them. The contrast between these approaches creates a rhythm that keeps viewers engaged and emotionally invested. Framing and composition are carefully orchestrated to enhance narrative tension. The cinematographer frequently employs deep focus to layer multiple planes within a single shot, allowing subtle movements or figures in the background to hint at unseen dangers. This technique encourages active viewing, prompting audiences to scan each frame for clues or hidden threats. Negative space is used strategically to convey isolation and exposure, with characters often positioned off-center or dwarfed by their surroundings to emphasize their fragility against overwhelming forces. Color grading contributes a nuanced emotional undertone. The film's palette is deliberately muted, with desaturated earth tones punctuated by cooler blues and greens during supernatural sequences. This chromatic strategy reinforces the unsettling mood, creating a world that feels drained of warmth and safety. The cinematographer frequently employs deep focus to layer multiple planes within a single shot, allowing subtle movements or figures in the background to hint at unseen dangers. This technique encourages active viewing, prompting audiences to scan each frame for clues or hidden threats. Negative space is used strategically to convey isolation and exposure, with characters often positioned off-center or dwarfed by their surroundings to emphasize their fragility against overwhelming forces. Color grading contributes a nuanced emotional undertone. The film's palette is deliberately muted, with desaturated earth tones punctuated by cooler blues and greens during supernatural sequences. This chromatic strategy reinforces the unsettling mood, creating a world that feels drained of warmth and safety. Warmer hues emerge selectively during moments of human connection or hope, visually marking narrative shifts and character development. The subtle gradations in color enhance storytelling without distracting from the visceral experience. Sound design is perhaps the film's most potent tool in crafting atmosphere. The soundscape is layered with a rich tapestry of natural and manipulated noises that work on both conscious and subconscious levels. Everyday sounds, a floorboard creak, a distant wind, the rustle of fabric, are amplified and distorted to evoke unease. Whispered voices and faint echoes create an auditory sense of the unseen, while sudden bursts of noise punctuate moments of terror with startling impact. The meticulous blending of ambient sounds with silence serves to heighten tension, exploiting the human fear of the unknown that dwells in quiet spaces. The musical score complements and amplifies the sound design, integrating traditional orchestral instruments with electronic textures and unconventional sources. The composer's choice to include rare instruments, such as the glass harmonica, infuses the score with ethereal, haunting tones that blur the line between the natural and supernatural. The music weaves through the narrative, shifting from subtle undercurrents during moments of suspense to overwhelming crescendos that underscore climactic confrontations. This dynamic use of music shapes emotional responses, guiding the viewer through fear, hope, and despair. Editing is integral to pacing and suspense. The editor crafts a rhythm that balances slow-building dread with sudden, impactful scares. Scenes are allowed to breathe, with longer takes that immerse viewers in atmosphere, interrupted by sharp cuts that mimic the jarring nature of supernatural attacks. Transitions often employ audio cues, fading whispers, rising tones, that prepare the audience for shifts in mood or perspective. The editing choices enhance narrative clarity while preserving ambiguity, maintaining a delicate balance between revelation and mystery. Special effects blend practical and digital techniques to preserve a sense of physicality. Practical effects, puppetry, animatronics, makeup, anchor supernatural elements in tangible reality, making interactions more believable and visceral. Digital effects are used judiciously to enhance these foundations, adding subtle movements or augmenting visual distortions without overwhelming the scene. This hybrid approach maintains immersion and respects the audience's intelligence, favoring suggestion over overt spectacle. Makeup and prosthetics further deepen the visual storytelling. The team crafts detailed designs for the ghostly manifestations and the cursed doll, using texture, color, and subtle animation to create figures that are at once beautiful and terrifying. The makeup's tactile realism invites close scrutiny, making every glance a potential source of unease. These visual choices contribute significantly to the film's capacity to evoke empathy and fear simultaneously. Lighting design extends beyond mere illumination, functioning as a narrative device. The use of flickering candles, swinging lanterns, and filtered moonlight creates dynamic shadows that animate the set. These lighting choices are synchronized with camera movement and sound to create moments where the environment itself seems alive. The fluctuating light serves as a metaphor for the unstable boundary between worlds, reinforcing themes of uncertainty and vulnerability. Production design integrates with cinematography and lighting to create cohesive visual motifs. Recurring elements, cracked glass, peeling wallpaper, stained fabrics, symbolize decay and fractured realities. These textures populate the frame, making the setting a visceral presence that reflects the character's psychological states. The careful selection of colors, materials, and spatial arrangements enriches the narrative and deepens the immersive experience. In terms of performance, the direction emphasizes subtlety and internalization. Actors are guided to convey terror and vulnerability through minimalistic gestures and expressions, avoiding melodrama. This restrained approach aligns with the film's atmospheric style, making moments of horror more impactful through contrast with quiet human moments. The camera's intimacy captures fleeting micro-expressions, drawing viewers into the characters' inner worlds. The soundstage and set locations were chosen and constructed to maximize control over lighting and sound, enabling the filmmakers to sculpt every sensory element with precision. The flexibility of these environments allowed for creative experimentation with angles, shadows, and acoustics, contributing to the film's unique mood. Practical challenges, such as maintaining consistent lighting over long takes, were met with innovative solutions, demonstrating the team's commitment to artistic vision. Post-production included extensive sound mixing and color grading to unify the film's aesthetic. The mixing process layered multiple sound elements to create depth and spatial awareness, making the haunted environment tangible. Colorists refined hues and contrasts to maintain emotional consistency and enhance symbolism. These technical refinements are integral to the film's final impact, demonstrating the collaborative synergy of cinematic crafts. The film's box office success reflects its effective use of these filmmaking techniques. Audiences responded enthusiastically to its immersive atmosphere and emotional depth, distinguishing it from more conventional horror fare. Critics praised the technical craftsmanship, noting how sound, editing, and cinematography worked in concert to create a compelling, suspenseful experience. The film's ability to balance artistry and entertainment contributed to strong word-of-mouth and sustained engagement. Marketing materials highlighted the film's atmospheric approach and technical innovation, appealing to viewers seeking a horror experience grounded in psychological realism. Trailers emphasize the interplay of light and shadow, the haunting soundscape, and the nuanced performances, setting expectations for a sophisticated and chilling journey. This strategy helped position the film within a competitive market, attracting both horror aficionados and mainstream audiences. In summary, the film's use of filmmaking techniques is a cornerstone of its success. The careful orchestration of lighting, camera work, sound, editing, and effects creates an immersive world that engages viewers on multiple sensory and emotional levels. These choices shape the atmosphere, reinforce themes, and elevate performances, transforming the narrative into a haunting experience that resonates deeply. The synergy of technical artistry and storytelling exemplifies cinema's power to evoke fear, empathy, and reflection, making this film a standout in its genre and a testament to the craft of filmmaking. The cast of this film stands at the heart of its haunting resonance, their performances breathing life and nuance into a narrative steeped in terror and psychological complexity. Each actor, through dedication and deep immersion into their roles, offers a portrayal that transcends mere fright, capturing the fragile humanity caught in the crosshairs of the supernatural. The journey from script to screen was enriched by candid interviews and behind-the-scenes reflections that reveal the profound connection between the cast and the material, as well as their experiences navigating a world both dark and demanding. This connection, in turn, echoes powerfully in audience reception, where reviews and discussions highlight the film's emotional and thematic depth alongside its chilling scares. The lead actress, tasked with portraying the young protagonist, emerged as the film's emotional anchor. Her portrayal is a delicate balance of innocence and resilience, capturing a character thrust prematurely into a world of darkness yet determined to fight with a fierce, quiet strength. In interviews, she shared her process of preparing for the role, which involved not only studying the source material and consulting with the film's creators but also engaging with real accounts of those who have experienced paranormal phenomena. She described moments of vulnerability during filming, nights when the eerie atmosphere of the set seeped into her own psyche, blurring the lines between character and self. This emotional transparency imbues her performance with authenticity, allowing audiences to empathize deeply with her journey. Her co-star, portraying the protective babysitter, brought a grounded maturity to the film. In interviews, this actor emphasized the importance of portraying a believable relationship between the two young women, one based on trust, empathy, and mutual support amidst growing fear. She recounted the challenge of balancing moments of tenderness with the mounting tension, crafting a character who serves as both guardian and emotional counterpoint. Their off-screen friendship, forged during intense rehearsals and long hours on set, mirrors the on-screen bond, adding layers of sincerity and warmth to their interactions. The veteran actors playing the Warrens, figures steeped in both history and myth, offered portrayals that combine authority with empathy. Their interviews reveal a respect for the real-life inspirations behind their characters, and a commitment to portraying the nuanced complexity of investigators who confront darkness without losing their humanity. They spoke of the responsibility felt in honoring these figures, striving to depict not just ghost hunters but caretakers of belief and protectors of the vulnerable. This gravitas anchors the film, providing a moral and emotional compass amidst the supernatural chaos. Supporting cast members contributed depth and texture, portraying family members, skeptics, and victims caught in the story's web. Their reflections in interviews often highlight how even smaller roles required immersion into the film's psychological landscape. The ensemble's cohesion was praised, with many noting how the actors' chemistry and shared commitment elevated scenes beyond genre conventions. The director's vision and approach to guiding performances was a frequent topic in cast interviews. Known for fostering a collaborative environment, the director encouraged openness and emotional honesty, allowing actors to explore their characters' fears and motivations fully. This trust-building process is credited with eliciting nuanced performances that resonate with viewers. The director's sensitivity to the film's emotional stakes helped balance horror with humanity, ensuring that scares never eclipsed character depth. One revealing aspect from interviews is the cast's shared experience of the production's eerie atmosphere. Several actors recounted moments when the line between fiction and reality felt thin, describing unexplained sounds and sensations that heightened their emotional engagement. These accounts fostered a sense of camaraderie and collective vulnerability, which translated into authentic on-screen chemistry. The mutual support among the cast was vital in navigating the psychologically demanding material, providing a foundation of trust and resilience. Behind the scenes, the actors participated in workshops and consultations that deepened their understanding of the story's themes and the paranormal phenomena it depicts. Some attended sessions with experts in occult traditions and psychic phenomena, gaining insights that informed their performances. These preparations added layers of realism and respect to portrayals of ritual and belief, avoiding caricature and grounding supernatural elements in lived experience. Audience reception has reflected the strength of these performances. Reviews frequently praise the cast's ability to convey complex emotional states, transforming what could be formulaic horror roles into fully realized characters. Viewers highlight moments of quiet vulnerability and interpersonal connection as key to the film's lasting impact, noting that the fear is made more palpable because it is rooted in relatable human experiences. Online forums and fan communities have embraced the film's characters, engaging in discussions about their motivations, fears, and growth. The protagonist's journey, in particular, has sparked conversations about themes of innocence, trauma, and empowerment. Fans appreciate the multidimensional portrayals that allow for empathy beyond the usual victim archetypes. These discussions extend the film's reach, fostering a deeper cultural engagement. Critics have lauded the lead actress's breakout performance, noting her capacity to carry the film's emotional weight while navigating intense, harrowing scenes. Her nuanced expressions and physicality have been highlighted as elevating the narrative, making her character's ordeal both believable and heartrending. Similarly, the veteran actor's grounded portrayals have been recognized for lending credibility and gravitas, helping anchor the supernatural elements in a recognizable human context. Some audience reviews touch on the film's capacity to evoke genuine fear without resorting solely to jump scares or gore, attributing this effectiveness to the cast's subtle performances. The restraint and psychological depth offered by the actors enable the tension to build organically, engaging viewers' imaginations and emotions. This approach has resonated with both horror aficionados and more casual viewers, broadening the film's appeal. The chemistry among the cast is also a frequent topic in fan discussions, with many expressing appreciation for the believable relationships that form the narrative's emotional core. The interplay between fear and solidarity, especially among the younger characters, adds complexity to the horror, transforming it into a story about survival, trust, and courage. Interviews reveal that the cast's experience extended beyond performance, as many participated in promotional activities that deepened audience engagement. They shared behind-the-scenes stories, personal reflections, and insights into character motivations, fostering a sense of community among fans. This openness enhanced the film's cultural footprint, inviting viewers to connect with both the story and the people who brought it to life. The supporting cast's performances, though sometimes less spotlighted, have been acknowledged for enriching the film's texture. Their portrayals of skeptics, family members, and victims provide contrast and context, emphasizing the varied ways individuals confront fear and disbelief. These roles contribute to the narrative's emotional complexity, reminding viewers that horror is not a solitary experience but one shaped by relationships and perspective. The director's influence is evident not only in the actors' performances, but also in how they speak about the filming process. Many cite the director's encouragement of authenticity and emotional honesty as key to their work, creating a safe space to explore vulnerability. This atmosphere of trust allowed for powerful moments that resonate with audiences, underscoring the collaborative nature of the filmmaking process. From a broader cultural perspective, the cast's portrayals have been discussed in terms of representation and genre evolution. The film's emphasis on strong, complex female characters navigating horror has been praised for challenging traditional tropes. This progressive approach reflects changing audience expectations and contributes to ongoing conversations about diversity and depth in genre storytelling. Audience reviews across platforms consistently highlight the emotional impact of the performances, noting that the characters' struggles feel real and relatable despite the supernatural context. Many viewers express that the film's scares are made more effective because of the empathy they feel for the characters, a testament to the cast's skill and the director's vision. Fan engagement extends to detailed analyses and creative works inspired by the characters and their journeys. Online communities share fan art, theories, and stories, expanding the film's universe and fostering a vibrant dialogue. This participatory culture enriches the film's legacy, transforming it from a single viewing experience into an ongoing conversation. In conclusion, the cast's contributions, illuminated through interviews and reflected in audience responses, form the emotional core of this haunting tale. Their dedication to authenticity and nuanced portrayal elevates the narrative, allowing viewers to connect deeply with the characters' fears, hopes, and resilience. The interplay of professional artistry and genuine human experience creates a film that resonates far beyond its scares, inviting audiences into a shared exploration of the supernatural and the profoundly human. This synergy between performance and reception underscores the transformative power of cinema to engage, frighten, and ultimately, to move. As our journey through this film's haunting landscape draws to a close, it becomes clear that what we have experienced is far more than a simple ghost story. Throughout our exploration, we have unraveled layers that reveal a deeply textured narrative, one where atmosphere, character, and theme intertwine to create an experience both chilling and profoundly human. The film's ability to blend the supernatural with the psychological invites us to look beyond the surface, to consider how fear shapes us, how faith sustains us, and how the unknown challenges the very core of our understanding. We began by stepping into the evocative world crafted by the filmmakers, a world where every shadow holds a secret, every object is imbued with history, and every silence speaks volumes. The setting, far from being a mere backdrop, emerged as a vital character in its own right. The meticulous production design and atmospheric cinematography transformed spaces into living entities, making the house itself a labyrinth of menace and memory. We saw how lighting and color palettes sculpted mood and meaning, weaving a visual language that heightens suspense and deepens thematic resonance. Delving into the plot, we traced the characters' journeys through escalating supernatural threats and internal struggles. The narrative's careful pacing allowed tension to build organically, making each revelation and scare more impactful. We witnessed how the characters' personal fears and doubts became intertwined with the haunting, transforming the film into a psychological as well as supernatural exploration. This duality enriched the story, inviting us to engage emotionally and intellectually.